Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our board meeting. We have a couple of great presentations tonight. Could we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? And Paul, will you lead us, please? Amanda, will you call the roll, please?
Trustee Messick.
Here.
Trustee Rocco.
Here.
Trustee Sheehan is absent. Trustee Casera.
Here.
Trustee Lautner.
Here.
Trustee Zora is absent. President DeCipio.
Here.
Quorum is present, sir.
Thank you, Amanda. Good evening, everyone. It's such a privilege to be up here as I start out all of my presentations. This is one of the beauties of my position as your president to introduce community members who have gone above and beyond, and also who are celebrating accomplishments that are above and beyond. And we certainly appreciate Paul and me both to be here tonight with us. I know you want to get back to watch the World Series game, but please have patience. We'll get through. Marion, can you hear me? Are we good? Yes, you can stand, sure. You can hear me and you can stand. I just want to thank you for coming tonight in acknowledgement of the board and the staff. It's quite a celebration to celebrate your 100th birthday. I know some of your families here, so would you want to introduce who's here with you tonight?
Yes, Sarah Carpenter's with me tonight, and my nephew, John, and his family, and my niece, Janet Smith-Peterson.
And we all know who John is, and John, thank you for coming, and what an accomplishment, what a great celebration, and all you do for our village, too. He's wonderful. We're so blessed to have him. Well, thank you. So if you wouldn't mind coming up.
No.
So I'm going to read a proclamation from our village to you.
Oh my, I didn't expect that.
Well, you can tell me after I'm done if you want to or not. Okay, proclamation honoring the 100th birthday of Marion Giles. Whereas the longevity of life is a blessing to an individual and to a community by providing an opportunity for an investment of knowledge, creativity, and experience for all. Whereas Marion Giles was born on October 21st, 1916, and has recently celebrated her 100th birthday. Whereas after born and raised in Berwyn, Marion moved to Wayne, Illinois with her loving husband, John, where they had many great adventures together. Whereas when Marion wasn't touring the Africa on a safari or sightseeing in China, she was an active member of the Wayne Garden Club and Dunham Wood Riding Club. Whereas she moved into Plymouth Place in 1991 to be closer to her family, and has become an active member of the community, serving on various committees throughout the years, such as the president of the Grange Women's League. Whereas she has always generously supported the Arboretum and the Brookfield Zoo, and donates much of her time to the Plymouth Place Gardens. Whereas with the love and encouragement of her nieces and grandnieces and nephews, their children, Marion has been a powerful influence for good in our community. Now therefore, on behalf of the Grange Park Board, I do hereby extend best wishes to Marion Giles on the occasion of her 100th year birthday, with sincere congratulations for many more productive years. Congratulations, Marion.
Well, I'm not in for public speaking, but I do want to tell you I have enjoyed living in LaGrange Park and also Plymouth Place. I was over here many meetings when we put up our new building, and so I'm familiar with the building, but maybe not all these wonderful people that will serve on the board. But thank you very much.
And isn't it wonderful that we are here to honor two dignitaries in our community, and both of them reside in one of the gems of our community, Plymouth Place? Paul, it's your turn. Paul I've known for a while, and Paul is not for pomp and circumstance. He doesn't want the attention, but Paul, you deserve this. You really do. Didn't I tell you? See? Okay, before I read the proclamation, Private Watts had enlisted in the Army in October of 1942 and was assigned to the 1st Signal Corps, trained in communications, including radio, telephone, and radar at Fort Crowder in Missouri, as well as the University of Kentucky and Transylvania College, where he learned the fundamentals of radar from a priest. As part of his training, he learned the techniques of triangulation to locate enemy radar stations and how to burn out enemy radar using second-generation microwave radar technology. On Okinawa, as a member of the 1st Signal Corps, he was tasked with locating Japanese radar from the highest point of the Monosu Peninsula using Okinawa and Iwo Jima as the 2 points of location for the triangle. Private Watts was discharged from the Army in January of 1946. After stopovers in Hawaii and San Francisco, he returned to Chicago and married his wife, with whom he had 2 sons. They were married for 64 years when his beautiful wife passed away in 2011. For many years, Paul worked as a sales representative, including a company which manufactured fire hydrants. And in 1985, he retired at the age of 63 and now enjoys singing barbershop choirs, playing chimes in his church, and performing in old-time radio programs. Reflecting on his war years, Paul described himself as having been a good soldier and having learned personal responsibility and the importance of doing one's best in life. Paul, we are so grateful for all of your years of service to our country. Thank you. Now, reluctantly, I've heard that Paul really didn't want to take part, or were reluctant to take part because of the publicity, but he did the flight for World War II veterans, where they take you and they run you to Washington and back in one day, and they bring you back to Midway to a terminal filled of very appreciative citizens for all of that you have done for our country. And whereas honorable service performed in the defense of our nation and her cause in time of war is the highest form of citizenship, whereas Paul Watts put himself in harm's way to protect our country's freedom with his enlistment in the Army in 1942. Whereas at the tender age of 22, Paul was injured by enemy gunfire while in Japan and was honorably discharged in 1946. Whereas after being discharged, Paul returned to the Chicagoland area and established his home in Grange Park. Whereas Paul's marriage to Marilyn was blessed with 2 wonderful sons and 3 outstanding grandchildren. And whereas since his move into Plymouth Place, Paul has become a beloved member of their community, sharing his joy of music with all. Now, therefore, the Village of Grange Park deems it an honor and a pleasure to extend our sincere thanks to Paul Watts for his years of service and urge our citizens to pay special tribute to this very remarkable member of our community. Congratulations, Paul. I'm going to present you with what was put in the paper on behalf of the village board and staff, and this can go in Plymouth Place, maybe in the entryway somewhere. So I know your gift of speaking and singing. You can sing if you want, but if you care to say a few words, that would be great.
That's fine. Hang on to it for a moment. I would like to mention, when I came home, I came directly to, well, shall we say, almost across from the now library. Helped to promote the library and a few other things, but one of my most important things was a customer that I had, Grange Park. And really, the only people that I really got to know were the guys in the water department. Because the company that I worked for 30 years we made marvelous things besides fire hydrants, and all of it was buried underground. So the fire hydrant was the only thing that I could say, mine. And presently, you're now using the correct hydrant, as the expression goes, the one that I sold. In any event, no, we had 3 different homes here in LaGrange Park, and well, you see, my mother ended up at Plymouth Place. My mother-in-law, same thing, and there at Plymouth, we were in a cottage for 12 years, and so I've been there. Well, I would say this: I've been at Plymouth Place too long, but I'm not going to run away. I mean, since I have this delightful lady sitting there at 100, I'll try. I promise nothing.
Okay, public participation. Anyone care to address the board? Okay, moving on to consent agenda. Amanda?
The items on the consent agenda are as follows. A, approval of minutes, Village Board meeting, September 27th, 2016. Work session meeting, October 11th, 2016. Village Board executive session, October 11th, 2016. B, action, Sisters of St. Joseph and Presence Health Amendment to Plan Unit Development. Motion to approve an ordinance granting amended final plat of Plan Unit Development for Bethlehem Woods Retirement Living Center at 1515 West Ogden Avenue, Sisters of St. Joseph of LaGrange and Present Health. Public hearing 2016-04. Action. Sisters of St. Joseph and T-Mobile, special use permit and variation. Motion to approve an ordinance granting a special use permit for a wireless telecommunications tower and granting a variation for 1515 West Ogden Avenue, Sisters of St. Joseph of LaGrange, and T-Mobile Central LLC. Action. Parking recommendation, 31st Street. Motion adopting ordinance amending Chapter 76, Parking Schedule of LaGrange Park Municipal Code, updating time parking restrictions for the 1000 to 1100 block of Newberry and the north side of 31st Street, just west of Newberry, east of Beach. Action. 2016-17 salt purchase contract. Open purchase order. Motion approving an open purchase order with Compass Minerals America, Inc., not to exceed a total amount of $54,552. Action. Fiscal year 2016 annual financial report. Motion to accept the annual financial report for the fiscal year ending April 30th, 2016. Action. TIF district implementation. Ordinance setting public hearing for Village Market. Motion to adopt an ordinance of the Village of LaGrange Park, Cook County, Illinois, to set a date for and to approve a public notice of a public hearing for the Village Market tax increment financing redevelopment area. H. Action. TIF district implementation. Ordinance setting public hearing for 31st Street, Barnesdale. Motion to adopt an ordinance of the Village of LaGrange Park, Cook County, Illinois, to set a date for and to approve a public notice of a public hearing for the 31st Street, Barnesdale tax increment financing redevelopment area. Action, motion to authorize the president and chairperson of the Finance Committee to sign the register for bills and authorize the treasurer and village clerk to sign checks and payment of operating bills and salaries is itemized in the check register. J, action, motion to authorize the village treasurer and village clerk to sign checks in the payment of payroll and other bills that become due between this date and November 22nd, 2016, with subsequent approval of the payroll register and voucher register by the Board of Trustees at its regular meeting to be held on November 22nd, 2016.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second?
Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. Moving on to village manager's report. Julia?
Thank you, Mr. President. I have just one item to report this evening, and there is a memo included in the board packet on this item. It requires no action on behalf of the village board, and that is regarding the November 8th work session meeting, a change of meeting location. The next time this board meets is for its work session meeting, which will take place on November 8th. November 8th also happens to be election day, and this room is utilized as a polling place in our community, and therefore that use will conflict with the work session meeting. And in the past, when that has occurred, it has occurred in the past, we have moved our meetings down into the basement in the community room. So the information included in your packet is notice of the change in location for the November 8th meeting down in the community room, and we will make sure that we provide proper notice in the packet on the village's website, as well as proper signage on the day of Election Day. That is all I have to report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Julia. You will have somebody up here with those of us with short-term memory. Okay, moving on, administrative report. Trustee Lautner?
Thank you, Mr. President. This evening I have 3 items to report on to the village. First of all is regarding the upcoming Halloween. The village would like to remind residents that Halloween in LaGrange Park is celebrated on Monday, October 31st, with trick-or-treat hours from 3 p.m. until 8 p.m. The village encourages residents to exercise extra caution on Halloween evening while having fun. Young children should be accompanied by an adult or an older responsible child. All children should walk from house to house and use the sidewalk when available. Children should be cautioned against running out between parked cars or across lawns where ornaments or furniture present dangers. Drivers are reminded to use extra caution when traveling through the neighborhoods. The second item is regarding the haunted trolley trick or treat. On Friday, October 28th, the LaGrange Park Chamber of Commerce will be sponsoring its annual haunted trolley trick or treat event. This free event will be held from 4 p.m. until 6:30 p.m. Parents and children are invited to hop on a trolley at one of several locations, including the LaGrange Park Community Park District Facility, the Village Market, and locations along 31st Street. The trolleys will travel along a designated route, dropping patrons at specified stops so that children can trick or treat amongst the various business. It's always been a very fun event, and I encourage everyone to take advantage of it. And the upcoming State of the Village Address. The village will host the 7th annual State of the Village Address at Village Hall on Thursday, November 3rd at 7 p.m. All residents are invited to attend this free event. Village President Jim DeCipio and village staff will provide an overview of the village's budget, infrastructure projects underway, and progress on special efforts such as commercial revitalization. The Community Park District and Library District will also provide information on their current initiatives, and we encourage all residents to attend if at all possible. And that concludes my report for this evening from the administration area, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Lautner. Building and Zoning Committee, in the absence of Trustee Zora, Trustee Kucera will give the report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is requested for insertion in the Village Board meeting agenda packet
The following is a brief summary of building department activities for the month of September. Additional records and correspondence are kept within the department for your review if needed. 94 building permits were issued in September compared to 108 issued last September. 30 more permits have been issued so far this calendar year compared to last year. Estimated construction costs for the month, along with permit fees collected for the month, were both substantially less than compared to that of last October. 136 inspections were conducted in September compared to 229 last September. Of such, 10 were not approved. Overall inspections conducted for this year are somewhat less to where they were last time at this year. We received plans for a new home to be constructed in the 600 block of Forest Road. Staff conducted initial interviews of 8 applicants for the building official deputy building commissioner position. 3 of the candidates were set to participate in an assessment center in early October. As you're aware, on September 15th, a full-size pickup truck crashed through the front of the 7-Eleven store on 31st Street. Our firefighters cleared debris, hanging shards of glass, and store stock and were able to assist the driver out of the vehicle, of the truck, and building. The building and business suffered significant damage, but very luckily, no one was injured. The business owner, corporate personnel, and contractors worked throughout today to clean up the store and make temporary repairs. As such, we were able to inspect the store that evening and allow them to reopen. Staff also met with the owners of Cork, Keg, and Spirits to discuss the zoning process and code requirements for a proposed remodeling addition. They closed the business during the month in anticipation of completing their work and reopening by the end of October. We were unaware of their decision to close at that point until it happened, and their proposed plans triggered some zoning and code issues. Now they hope to revise their plans and open by Thanksgiving. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Kucera. And going on to the next engineering and capital projects, Trustee Kucera again.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 2 items to report for the engineering and capital projects. Summary report for September 2016. Work continues on the 2016 street paving program. GA Paving has completed the repaving of the 300, 400, and 500 blocks of Brainerd Avenue, the 400 blocks of Stone, Wyola, and Spring Avenues, and the 400 and 500 blocks of Kensington Avenue. Also during this period, curb gutter and driveway aprons were removed and replaced on both sides of the 400, 500, and 600 blocks of Catherine, and as required on the 200, 300, and 400 blocks of Ashland Avenue and Brewster Place. All major work on this project is expected to be completed by the end of November. Second item to report on, Mr. President. Suburban General Construction has started construction on the LaGrange Road water main improvements. This project consists of replacing an undersized and failing water main located beneath LaGrange Road with the larger 10-inch diameter main relocated under the sidewalk. This new main will result in better water flow to residents in the area and less traffic interruption when maintenance work is required. This project is expected to be completed by mid-November. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Kucera. Public Safety Committee, Trustee Messick.
Thank you, Mr. President. We'll start with Police Department activities for September of this year. Total number of crimes reported is slightly higher than last year. To date, all reported crimes against persons and properties are at 218 incidents, compared to 174 in total through September of 2015. Police Department total service and assistance calls remain lower than last year, with 4,878 reported through September of this year as compared to 4,973 reported through September of last year. Patrol officers on all shifts have been active in writing ticket for a variety of infractions to date. There have been 5,068 citations written compared to 4,977 last year. Please take note that the midnight shift is referring to the outstanding village-wide listing of those who presently do not have a valid village sticker in their front window properly displayed for the 2016-17 and have begun strict enforcement in this area. The police department is underway with our 16th year of Adopt-A-Cop program throughout most schools in LaGrange Park. The program kicks off with the month of October focusing on Halloween safety, including grades K through 8. Officers have been prepared for a monthly 1-hour drop-in on different topics throughout the school year. In association with the DEA, another successful drug take-back event occurred on Saturday, October 22nd from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the lobby area of Village Hall. The police department will be taking part in the Chamber of Commerce Halloween trolley event this Friday, October 28th, with a police officer present for an officer appreciation area of thanks along with a picture opportunity. And that concludes the police department activities. Now on to fire department activities for September of this year. EMS responses for this month are 130. There have been 1,262 year-to-date compared to 1,297 in 2015. Fire rescue incidents this month were 36. There have been 350 year-to-date compared to 385 year-to-date at this time last year. Firefighters underwent annual medical evaluations during the month, which took place on site in a mobile medical RV. On the 28th, an applicant orientation session was held for paid-on-call firefighters. Those interested in continuing through the applicant testing process will need to successfully complete an oral interview, physical ability test, background investigation, and medical evaluation in the coming months. On the 18th of the month, some of our personnel participating in the annual softball tournament to honor Mark Johnson, who died on duty as a deputy fire chief in Hinsdale, and who also was a firefighter here for several years. Our team made it to the championship game, but lost to the Hinsdale Public Service or Public Works Department in extra innings. During the month, we began providing our annual fire safety programs to schools in relation to the upcoming Fire Prevention Week. Personnel also participated in a number of other public education and special events, including various remembrance services for the 15th anniversary for the 9/11 attacks, also known Patriots Day, also the official opening and ribbon cutting of the new emergency department at Adventist LaGrange Memorial Hospital took place this past month. Personnel attended and participated in the memorial service and fire department bell service for retired fire department captain Bill Becker, who had passed away. And that concludes the fire report and the public safety report. Mr. President, there are no action items.
Thank you, Trustee Messick. Public Works Committee, in the absence of Trustee Sheehan, Trustee Messick.
Thank you, Mr. President. Public Works Department monthly report for September of 2016. Brush pickup took place the first full week in September. 114 day shift hours were spent making several passes through town, removing approximately 260 yards of brush from the parkway. Approximately 11.5 tons of asphalt was used during 68.5 hours on street repairs, which includes filling potholes and water main excavation asphalt patches. The sweeper spent 94 hours cleaning over 123 village street miles and picked up 60 yards of debris. Barricades were delivered for 26 block parties during the month. 145 and a half hours were spent on the maintenance of public works equipment and vehicles. 180.5 hours were spent on building and ground maintenance around the public works facility, Village Hall, and along 31st Street. 50 hours were spent on tree trimming, work orders, and tree inspections. 117 hours were spent on the removal of 16 diseased trees, and work orders were completed with crews removing roadkill, picking up individual brush piles, repairing parkways, and making sign repairs. There was various repairs and preventative maintenance performed on several public works, police, and fire vehicles. And then on to water department operations. Over 364 day shift hours and 20.5 overtime man hours during the month of September were spent on maintenance and repairs of sewer and water mains. 30,470,000 gallons of water were purchased from the Brookfield North Riverside Water Commission. 1,343 water meters were read in Section 3. 51 monthly accounts and 28 final meter readings were taken. Various inspections, appointments, and service calls were performed. 15 water bacterial samples were taken and all passed. 129 utility locations were identified prior to excavations. 4 Buffalo box repairs were made, and 1 hydrant modification kit was installed. And that concludes the Public Works Department report, Mr. President. There are no action items.
Thank you, Trustee Messick. Finance Committee, Trustee Rocco.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a report and 1 action item. So we are 42% of the fiscal into our fiscal year 2017. Fiscal year to date, the general fund revenue is at 45% of the annual budget and approximately $277,000 less than last year at this time. Sales tax receipts are about 1% lower than last year, while telecommunication taxes are down by over 9%. Permit revenue is lower than last year by about $69,000. The difference is mostly due to a very large permit issued last year. Intergovernmental revenue is 11% lower than last year due to decreased receipts from income tax and personal property replacement tax. A drop in income tax revenue was expected because last year's receipts included one-time revenue due to federal and state tax legislation. However, the decrease in corporate income tax has been larger than anticipated. Charges for services are about $32,000 lower than last year, due primarily to decreased ambulance service fee receipts. Total trips are lower than last year, and the percentage of Medicare trips has increased. Fine revenue is about 5% higher than the prior year. Transfers are greater than last year due to the new transfer from the motor fuel tax fund to the general fund to support street maintenance operations. Miscellaneous revenue is lower than last year, due in part to lower property damage reimbursements. Also, the village received a one-time payment of $37,000 for past due payment in lieu of taxes last year. Total general fund expenditures are within expectations at 37% of the annual budget and about $181,000 above last year. The increase is primarily due to the timing of payroll compared to last year, as well as an increase in the police pension contribution. And that concludes my report. And there is one action item, Mr. President, and it deals with the 2016 property tax levy estimate. The purpose is to provide an estimate of the 2016 village property tax levy as required by the Truth in Taxation Law. The Truth in Taxation Law requires that the village board estimate the amount of property taxes to be levied at least 20 days prior to the adoption of the annual tax levy. The village's 2016 tax levy ordinance will be reviewed at the November 8th workshop and then placed on the agenda for board approval at November 22nd meeting. The village's annual property tax levy is restricted by the Illinois Property Tax Extension Limitation Law, PTEL. PTEL limits the amount the village may increase the aggregate levy each year to the lesser of 5% or the change in the consumer price index. The term aggregate levy is specifically defined by the Truth in Taxation Law to include the corporate and special purpose levies and excludes levies for debt service. For the 2016 levy, the PTEL CPI change is 0.7%, and is therefore the limiting factor. The PTEL allows the village to collect additional taxes on new property value. Over the past 10 years, the value of new property has ranged between 0.4% and 0.64% of the village's total equalized assessed value, the EAV. We will not know the actual amount of the new value until well after the village's tax levy ordinance is due to the county. As such, an estimated increase of 2% of EAV has been incorporated into the levy estimate calculation to ensure all potential new value is included. The county will reduce the village's actual extension to the amount allowed under the PTEL. The estimated aggregate levy for 2016 is $3,541,043, which is 2.78% above the 2015 extension of $3,445,422. The estimated aggregate levy is less than a 5% increase, therefore a public hearing is not required by the Truth in Taxation Law. The village's 2016 property tax levy will also include a debt service amount for the 2016 road and fire bonds approved by referendum. The debt service levy will not be part of the village's annual levy ordinance because the annual amounts were included in the bond ordinance already filed with the county. For the 2016 levy, the debt service amount is $1,243,076. For a resident with a home valued at $350,000, the projected impact of the total estimated levy is an increase of $375. A chart with the estimated impact is attached. Staff recommends Village Board approve the property tax estimate at tonight's meeting. So I move that the President and Village Board of Trustees estimate that the amount necessary to be raised from the 2016 property tax levy is $3,541,043, exclusive of debt service, which amount is less than 5% greater than the amount of taxes extended for 2015.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Trustee Rocco?
We do this every year, and as explained in the what I just stated. So I think that says it all.
Thank you, Trustee Rocco. Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
And that concludes everything for the Finance Department, Finance Committee. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you again, Trustee Rocco. Commercial Revitalization Committee, Trustee Casera.
And thank you, Mr. President. Before I begin, I'd like to thank Trustee Rocco and Trustee Zora for taking over for me while I was not able to attend the work session meeting. Commercial Revitalization Committee report, October 25th, 2016. On October 1st, 2016, the village filed the 2 TIF feasibility study and redevelopment project area plans for both Village Market and Barnesdale 31st Street with the village clerk for public review. SB Friedman completed the preparation of the plat of annexation and the legal description of the Indiana Harbor Belt parcel that the village needs to annex. Kathleen Fiodor and Associates is currently working with the IHB to facilitate the annexation. Staff anticipates the plat of annexation will come before the village board in December. This month, staff also began visiting business owners in the proposed TIF districts to share information about the proposals and to answer any questions. Finally, a one-page special insert was included in the October edition of the Rose Clippings regarding the proposed TIF districts. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Sarah. Other reports, Village Clerk?
I have one item to report. Early voting began yesterday, October 24th, and continues until November 7th, with the closest location for early voting being the Brookfield Village Hall, with Hodgkins Village Hall and Maywood being open for early voting as well.
Thank you, Amanda. Village Treasurer? No report. Our Village Engineer? No report, Mr. President. Our Village Attorney?
No report, Mr. President.
A motion to approve Committee and Collectors report as presented.
So move.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I just have 2 quick items. One, on Friday, Chief Magus, Julie, and myself attended a Friends of the Library breakfast. We were represented well. Julie and Chief did a great job explaining all the activities that we have going on, and it's just a pleasure and privilege to be with you guys and to hear you guys out in public and represent our community, because they're just in awe in everything that we do. The second thing is I just want to commend Amanda, our village clerk. She works very hard at what she does, especially at this time of year. It goes unnoticed. I walked in here on Sundays and Saturdays, and there's Amanda, and she also represents our village well, and I just want to thank you for all your work, Amanda. Public participation, anyone care to address the board?
Yes.
New business, Trustee Rocco?
Yes, this is public participation. Do I need to go? Should I go up there?
No.
Okay, you said public participation, right? Just now?
Need to go up there?
No, I'm good with either one. I'm going to speak on behalf of the League of Women Voters. So,
Go ahead.
okay. So the reason I just would want to make a point here, because the election's coming up, there is a great, I'm speaking on behalf of the League of Women Voters, there's a great website. It's called ballotready.org. It's very user-friendly. You type in your address, you get the list of candidates, and you can get a snapshot of the opinions of the positions of the candidates, and it's from the presidency all the way down through the local election. You can then decide. You can then decide who you want to vote for. You can print out the click on who you want to vote for. You could print that out and you could bring it with you to the voting booth. What's really great about this website is when you see the different candidates' positions, there's a little blue box next to it. You can click on that blue box and you can see the source of where that position came from. So it's a great website. It's user-friendly. It's ballotready.org. It's nonpartisan. Take a look at it. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Rocco. Any new business? Motion to adjourn? I thought you said that we didn't have any. Oh, I am sorry. Okay. Motion to move to executive session.
I motion to move into executive session for the purpose to discuss the following: the selection of a person to fill a village commission committee according to 5 ILCS 120/2C3, collective bargaining in accordance with 5 ILCS 120/2C2, not to return to open session until our next regularly scheduled meeting, November 8th.
Second.
Motion is second. Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
This will move into executive session. We'll stay here.